What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Today we're going to be looking at ROKU stock. We're going to be looking how it's traded over the past couple days, and then we're going to be also taking a look at a few points on the chart in which, if the price does in fact get to these levels, we would most likely want to be taking a position, at least for a short-term trade. Not necessarily to hold for weeks or the next year, but levels to look at buying and probably holding for a couple days to maybe a week at most. All right, let's get into it. And we're going to make this video very quick. Really don't want it to be anything more than 5 minutes. So I might go through some of these things pretty quickly. So definitely try to keep attention and follow along. And then again, always hit the thumbs up button. All right, let's get into it. Here we are. So this is ROKU. And just a couple weeks back, or about a week back, we had this really big drop in the stock. That happened because essentially the stock could not go any higher at that moment in time. We had a big gap down right here, and then we dropped pretty hard. We had a nice bounce. We have rolled all the way over. This is starting to give us a bearish feel for the stock, at least in the shorter perspective or shorter time frame. Something that is very likely to happen is to even see ROKU bounce off here a little bit. So there's really two outcomes. This is a very heavy move down, so it wouldn't surprise me if we break a little bit. Another very common outcome we would see is a descending triangle where we actually kind of bounce and do something like this, and then we get a new breakdown all the way to 115, okay? So regardless of how it moves, the most important thing to take away for at least right now is that we are in sort of a bearish movement. We are having bearish days. Let's take a look at the past couple days. The past couple days, this has seen some really negative movement, and we even shorted it on this day here and made a decent amount of money. So again, we're seeing some bearish movement all the way down to this 132 price currently. Look at the selling volume coming in at the end of the day, Friday. Lots of selling volume for the stock ROKU, and definitely seeing a big decrease. So if you go back to this 4-hour chart, again, we're getting pretty weak going into this price of 130. What we know is that we had a very strong bounce right here that led us from 115 all the way up to about a high of 170 almost at one point. And then, of course, we've come all the way down. If prices can get all the way back down to this 115 price, that is where you're going to want to be taking a long play. Now, the question people always ask me is, well, when do I get in? If I see the price come down to 115, when do I get in? How do I confirm? How do I get confirmation? Let me explain something too, and this might help you guys understand a little bit differently. A lot of things we hear about in the trading world are always wait for confirmation, wait for confirmation, wait for confirmation, which can then also lead you into missing the move quite often. Something that I find is that a stock cannot bounce unless a support is created, right? Unless there is support there and then it bounces, of course, the stock can't bounce. It needs support. Well, how does support even happen? If everybody just waited for confirmation or waited for support, you're always going to be late to the move by at least a bit. But if you become support, then you're always going to be the first in. Okay, now people always say, well, it's like trying to catch a falling knife, but in reality, it's really not. Because as soon as the prices get down to here to 115, the first thing that's going to happen is people are going to start buying because of that bounce. Right? So if you start getting in initially when the prices get down to this 115, you're most likely going to enter yourself into the support system. And then, of course, the stock is probably going to jump around a little bit, might get a little awkward, spiking up and down, because people at this point are still kind of on the fence of, is it going to be support or is it going to go down? And that's natural. We see this kind of jerky trading action down at support. Okay? And you'll know if it's going to break down. But the thing I'm pointing out is if you were to buy the absolute low here at 115, and then we kind of jerk around, and it starts to go up, and then maybe it starts to roll over, and at that point you realize it's going to break down, then you have the best chance at managing risk because you had the lowest entry. But if you kind of wait for it to bounce a little bit, then you're going to be buying higher off support, and then if it isn't going to truly bounce, and then it starts to roll over, if you were going to wait until it fully broke down kind of the support system there before you'd say it's not going to hold up, you'd end up with a bigger loss. So what we do know is this 115 price is most likely going to be a bounce point for the stock. And then also, if by some means in the next couple months we see ROKU down at 100, you should be looking at a bounce trade off 100, right? So you're always looking left and you're looking at the strongest bounce points, and you know that that's exactly where the stock is when I say exactly, yeah, it's going to bounce there. Unless there's some dramatic news event, unless there's some type of catastrophic event that drives the overall stock market down into sort of a correction or a crashing period, then this stock, Roku, is going to bounce at 115. And it will bounce at $100. It's going to at least give you a 1, 2, 3, 4-day bounce at these points, at least. So again, it's always very easy to predict the short-term movement, because we know that Roku will most likely come down into this 115 and bounce here, probably like $8 a share. And then when it does that, it could roll over, break down the support, it could hold support, come back up, go that way, right? A lot of things can happen afterwards that are harder to plan for without at least seeing the movement down to here and then the bounce up to here and then kind of some trading, right? We know what's probably going to happen once we hit 115, we bounce. We know what's probably going to happen when we hit the 100, we're probably going to bounce, right? But what happens after and how it does it, that's the challenging part. But you don't need to know everything that happens afterwards to make money. All you got to know is when you want to take this position for the long, and then the anticipated or most predictable move, again, would be just a small bounce and then sell it out. So again, just want to kind of come out, give you guys a little bit of analysis here on Roku. I plan on doing a couple more of these videos on another couple stocks here today too as well, probably picking out some of the common stocks that most people are trading or focusing on these days. So again, the main takeaway is Roku has been in more of a bearish move these past couple days and or week, and something to anticipate is that in the future, if we're taking these prices on Roku down to 115, 116, you're going to be looking for a long play here. And if we get down to $100 or into kind of like the 101, 103s, just about pretty much the low 100s to high 90s, you're also going to want to be looking for a long bounce down in that area. So just want to come out, get a video out ahead of time before we're even close to some of these scenarios so that when they do approach, you should be well aware or well anticipate of what's going to be happening around those prices. So I hope you guys liked the video. Hope you learned something new, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, everybody, take care.